Welcome. It's Mike and Molson on the Too Good for Radio podcast.
Yeah.
I just wanted to start it.
Yeah, I know. I always monopolize that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What are you sorry for?
I monopolized the opening. Yeah, it was much better.
You don't monopolize. For God's sake, stop apologizing for shit you didn't do.
That's my MO. Welcome in, everybody.
God.
I'm sorry if this is already annoying to you. That's going to be on me.
I feel bad because you're doing all the heavy work. I just sit here like a lump.
No, you have all the good lines. And everything.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, you do. So welcome in.
Hi.
The Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast. I am Mike Wimmacher. That,
Johnny
of course,
Molson.
Johnny Molson. So we begin today's edition of the podcast. Throughout the years, we've always talked about bad nude, right? There's good nude and there's bad nude. And the good nude is very limited.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of bad nude in the world.
I think Seinfeld established the baseline there.
So I would take you Dateline, France, Lyon, France, where there is a nude beach. And a situation, pardon the pun, arose.
Okay.
Where an individual was acting a fool on this nude beach. So one of the nudists kind of took the justice into his own hands. All right? I'm going to lay out the story for you. So this 46-year-old guy shows up at the nude beach, okay? Onlookers reported that this individual, who was not apparently a regular on the nudist beach, had been a nuisance earlier in the morning when he masturbated into the water in front of the sunbathers.
Oh, no.
That's probably something that's frowned upon in the community, right?
Yeah.
That's not something you just start doing that's not an invitation. Just because the beach is nude is not an invitation for you to have some fun and whip up a batch of thunder.
By definition, it's a solo event. There should not be other participants.
Correct. I think you're right. Yes.
If you look at the dictionary definition of what that person was doing.
That's something you do in private. So that's what happened earlier in the day. So you would think that once that happened, someone would be like, "Hey, buddy, take your private activity and right. Go home and do that."
Now they got to empty the ocean and fill it back up again.
Exactly. And by the way, some poor fish or whatever it is, some starfish or whatever it may be, just kind of swimming around, enjoying a day, out at the beach. All of a sudden, that happens. Yeah. They didn't ask for that.
Right.
Well,
rather have a plastic bottle fall on my head.
Yeah. I'd rather the six-pack holder come and kind of choke me.
Get my neck caught in there.
Right, exactly, than have to deal with that. Yeah, so that wasn't enough. Apparently, the guy sticks around and had another incident pop up and was trying to take care of business the second time. Right? So he's already done it once, and now he's on land. First of all, if he was in the water, now he's on land around some females just going, "Hey, how you doing? I love this nude beach."
This is interesting to me because you have to wonder on nude beaches. I think nude beaches, everyone is kind of on the same page and you're just nude and it's not a sexual thing.
No.
But it seems like there's always that opportunity for someone to go, "Wow, I'm all cranked up here."
True.
And what do? You can't hide it.
Not as a man, no. As a man, you can't hide it.
So I think he's thinking the only way to
relieve the tension,
deflate the situation.
By the way, that's a new Urban Dictionary term.
Yeah, deflate the situation. Excuse me.
Pardon me, I gotta go deflate the situation.
Step into the bathroom for a second here and deflate the situation.
I apologize profusely, but a situation arose and needs deflating now.
And I bet that's what he's thinking. He says, "Well, if I can just do this real quick, and then
is he really
then
though?
I'll be okay." I don't know.
Well, he doesn't have to think about it anymore because after the second incident, a 75-year-old nudist who's a regular there goes to his car, takes his registered hunting pistol, and shoots the man dead.
Oh, my God.
Because apparently an argument broke out, and the guy's like, "Hey, you can't unload your chamber, but I can unload mine."
It's the last time you'll be firing one off.
Right. In public. You should never be doing that. There's an altercation between a man and a woman, and another individual got involved.
No kidding.
Police on bicycles.
How do you know there was a gun in the car?
Police on bicycles who regularly patrol the area where the incident took place heard 3 shots and responded to the scene. They tried to revive the exhibitionist but were unable to save him. And now the elderly nudist, whose name has been withheld by the authorities because of accordance of French privacy law, has now been accused of deliberate homicide but may escape prison time if convicted because he's 75 years old and because of his age.
I hope when the police arrived, they said, no, this is a very realistic reaction to the situation.
Yes.
Yes, you should be. If the man is out there in the water masturbating, you should shoot him in the head.
That is the French law. That's how we do.
You are just defending yourself.
Exactly.
This makes sense to me.
If he's coming to nude beach and play with wee-wee, then he go boom, boom. No wee-wee play.
Okay,
the boom,
as
boom.
you are. Please don't shoot anybody else, but that was understandable.
Let me ask you this. If he was already in that situation, how do you know rigor mortis sets in? I just have questions.
Does that happen?
I don't know, does it? I mean, that's played for jokes.
I never thought about that.
I mean, everything stiffens up when you're dead, right?
No, that can't happen, right?
I don't think so.
Not
I mean,
like
the blood,
that.
not like the blood flow,
right.
but I think if you were in the midst of it, I think it probably would stay that. I don't know for certain.
Yeah, like when you see a raccoon by the side of the road and it's all
like
it's still in its same position it was when the car hit it.
So if that guy was in there in that position, if he had been fondling it, then boom, boom. Yes. I don't know. So we'll see what happens.
Do not make sand castles like that.
So that is some sand angels. Do not go face down, sand angels. It'd be a little bit weird indentation in that particular situation. So yes, let it be a lesson to everyone. If you're going to a nude beach, don't deflate the situation in public. Just handle your business, but not your business, if that makes any sense. Speaking of business,
we take you to Facebook Marketplace.
Ooh, that's always interesting.
Yeah, and it's usually like a card table or
an old armoire,
one of those old tube TVs that nobody wants anymore. If you just
by the way, if you want a tube TV, I have one.
Do you?
Yeah, that you can have free of charge.
Yeah, that's usually put it on Facebook Marketplace.
Or
you could also get a 2006 Gulfstream G4 Jet
on Marketplace,
on Facebook Marketplace, previously owned by Larry Flint. For $18,000.
That seems actually economical. But it also seems like you'd have to pay a lot of money for it to be deep cleaned. Where would I find this? Is this out of the St. Louis area? Where is this out of?
This is in Florida.
Okay.
And the guy who's selling it, Ozzy Saez, listed it on Facebook Marketplace. The original price, $35 million. You can get it for a mere $18,000 right now.
I'm assuming it's not running anymore. It just kind of rolls around.
It is missing its Rolls-Royce engines, the wings, landing gear, windshield, and the custom interiors. But it's the black fuselage. It's black.
Okay.
With gold letters on there that says
Hustler.
And one of the last ones that apparently Larry Flint owned, I guess he owned about 5 of them. He said the jet could still be flight ready, but
you need to get wings, a motor, and interior. Is that what also is gone?
Regular operation and maintenance on a private jet can run hundreds of $1,000s, and so a lot of times they're just sold for parts, and you actually make more money that way.
So someone had already done that before this guy got a hold of it. But if you want basically just a long...
The fuselage.
Yeah, the fuselage that says Hustler on the side for $18,000, it could be yours.
He normally he would cut this thing up and sell the parts, but he said this one is because of the novelty. So what's left of the fuselage will be cut in 2. He has already sold the first 26 feet of it, including the flight deck, to a buyer who plans to create some sort of moving display. The remaining 64 feet is still up for grabs. Here's what he says.
So the front end with the cockpit has been already...
Watch your mouth.
So the Hustler cockpit is sold, but the back end is open.
Right.
Okay.
He
Seems
said,
to make sense.
In recent years, he's seen an uptick of people wanting old planes to use as habitable space. He sold fuselages to an Airbnb operator who wanted the hull for guests and a guy who turned one into his pool house.
Okay.
He said the thing is made of aluminum or titanium, so it's more durable than anything you could build on the ground.
All right.
And if you do the math, $18,000.
Pretty good.
It makes good sense. They point out that, and everyone always assumes, it's a Hustler plane, so it must have been, they must have been filming porn on there
or something going on in there, or deflating situations.
They said in an article back in 1998, to the surprise of many, Flint's aircraft are not party aircraft. The only women on there are company execs and Larry's fiancée. The article did note that the jet was stocked with copies of Hustler that were handed out to air traffic controllers whenever they landed.
What?
They'd say, hey, look, it's the Hustler plane. It's like, take a Hustler.
There you go.
Here's a Hustler. You want a Hustler? Hey, take one home to the kids.
Do you want that, though, in your air traffic control area?
Right.
Do you want the guy landed the plane also to be looking at somebody else's landing strip? Is what I'm asking. Yeah. I just asked the questions, folks.
He said if he can't sell for what's left, he plans to cut it up for other uses. If he makes furniture, he'll attach the plate to each piece, saying that it came from Larry Flint's plane. And if you want pieces and parts of it, you can go to aerosalvagedesign.com for a hunk of Larry's fuselage.
Now watch your mouth. Moving on to, let me introduce you to Caterina Orduña Perez, 99 years old, from Mexico. And she had an interesting last request to her family. So here's what she wanted. She wanted to break the paradigm of everything Mexican, according to her grandson, Alvaro Mota Lemon. She wanted to do that where things are sometimes hidden because of not having an open mind. She was always very avant-garde, very forward-thinking about things. So you may ask, what exactly did she want for her final resting place? Apparently what she wanted was a giant statue of a penis on top of her grave.
Oh, yeah, sure, right.
Yeah. Her family unveiled the completed monument, a 5.5-foot tall penis with balls weighing nearly 600 pounds, mounted on her tomb at a cemetery in Mexico this past weekend.
Was she married to the guy on the French beach? I just want to remember him as he was the day he died.
Well, no, because apparently she had a particular affinity for penises and what she believed they represented.
Oh, affinity.
Yeah. She always said in the Mexican sense that we were virgas, according to her grandson. Now, there are a few words in Mexican slang as dynamic as virga, which can be translated as penis in English. Also, it can be a brutal insult. It can mean you're not worth a crap. Or it can be a compliment, like a badge of honor, like it's very cool or badass.
Okay.
All right? So that's what she said that her family was. And she herself was like, hey, I'm outside the norm. I'm badass. I'm virga. So as she's getting kind of older, over the years, she had told her family and people around the town that she lived that when she died, she wanted her tomb adorned with a penis. The grandson thought it was just the grandma being the grandma, but before her death, he asked her about the long-standing request, and she told me that was her desire so that no one would forget her and that everything we loved about her would be remembered more easily. So she passes away.
Isn't there a recipe she can leave behind? A nice
Not a giant 5-foot dong with some balls on top of her tombstone.
Yeah.
So once her death in January 20th, 2021, the family then talked it over. Did great grandma really? She was respected in the community. Apparently, all the people who wanted to be voted for office came to her because she had done so much for the community and everything else. And so they said, you know what? Let's do it. So they put the process in motion. And so they called a guy in town who builds plastic products like water tanks and children's play sets. So they call him up and be like, hey, remember grandma, blah, 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 whatever? Well, we need a giant penis to put on top of her grave. The guy who runs that place says, I thought it was a joke because it's not very common to see these kind of sculptures or monuments, and even less so in the memory of someone who's deceased.
Right, yeah, right. I think we can all agree on all of this.
So after he said several times, no, they're serious about it, it took nearly a month and a team of 12 people, including a carpenter, a sander, a sculptor, and a carver to build the statue. Mm-hmm. They got particularly delayed on the ball sack, though, when the first attempt was quote-unquote disfigured, and they had to start the process all over again.
Yeah.
Because of disfigured nuts.
Have they seen them lately? I mean, normally they're all kind of weird looking anyway.
Yeah, they are. So basically they said, well, it's the strangest thing he's ever built. He said...
did they have to make it realistic? I mean, couldn't they have...
Did. So,
oh.
Yeah. I mean, it's pink in color. It's sitting on top of her. It's sitting on top of her grave, this big 5-foot dong with balls. 600-pound testes there.
I learned a new expression listening to John Cleese's book on tape when he was going to primary school. Mm-hmm. He was taunted by the kids being asked, are you roundhead or cavalier? What they were asking was, are you circumcised or
not?
Roundhead or cavalier?
I like that. That's very classy.
So is this roundhead or cavalier? Do we know? How realistic are we?
I would say, would cavalier be fully circumcised?
I would think so.
Yeah. So it's cavalier.
Okay.
Yeah. So the photos of the grave quickly circulated on social media. Why wouldn't it? And the local media storm around the Dick statue has also led to some interesting new requests for the business of the guy who made it. Now somebody wants a dump truck made for their particular, because he was a dump truck driver.
And is she buried in a regular cemetery?
Yeah. But not everyone is happy.
That's not fair to the other dead
Not
people.
everyone is happy about the penis statue. He says, of every 10 people, I think around 7 see the statue positively, and if they don't see it as a good thing, they at least respect the grandma's wishes. There's others who, in their conservative values, are very closed-minded, very square, who see it poorly. The grandson said the family had discussed the backlash when planning the statue and prepared for the onslaught of criticism. After all, the family is made up of Vergas.
Boy, this sounds like Grandma started to lose it late in age and just became like one of those dirty old women.
Well, she had an affinity for penises apparently throughout her life. Like, it's not something she just happened upon. She wanted the giant dong statue, and there it sits. I mean, she wanted to be always remembered, and will she not always be remembered now because of the giant dong statue?
Yes, she will always be remembered, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite the monument there.
Right.
I don't know.
It's really unfair to everybody else who's dead in that cemetery.
Yeah, because it's now the dong cemetery, right?
It is, and it's going to be a place where you go take selfies and, yeah.
Imagine being the person next to her.
People are going to be doing that thing where they take their picture far away and it looks like they're holding it up. Like they do with the Tower of Pisa.
Well, it's standing up and down. It's not going side to side.
I know.
So they're going to be
there's going to be something. It's going to be ridiculous.
There's going to be people like
absolutely stupid. I want to go see it.
Let's take a field trip and we'll document it.
We'll talk about it. I want to go see it.
Yeah, exactly, on the gram. Also, throughout the years, Johnny, as people have known, we have an affinity for monkey stories.
Yeah.
And since July 8th over in Japan, there has been a string of more than 60 people being attacked by monkeys in Oguri, Japan. That works out to an average of just under 3 victims a day.
Wow.
What's more, these attacks aren't just like out in the forest. The Planet of the Apes is beginning, ladies and gentlemen. The battle has begun because humans, basically, it's the exact opposite situation. Many of the attacks are taking place inside people's homes. In the first incident, a monkey managed to make its way through a family's screen door and attack their 11-month-old baby who was taking a nap, leaving a bite and scratch wounds on the child's legs. Other incidents included a woman in her 30s who was attacked in the evening by a monkey while on the second-floor balcony of her home, suffering injuries to her arm. Just think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
A long day at work, you come home, you're on your balcony just hanging out, and all of a sudden, monkey attack. A man in his 70s who was attacked while sleeping in the pre-dawn hours when a monkey came in through an open third-floor window of his home and bit him on both legs.
Gee
so the
whiz.
guy's just sleeping, trying to get a nice little breeze going through. Monkey's like, no, man. And then a woman in her 70s who was attacked in the morning when a monkey came through an open front door, biting her on the feet and hands. Boy, they really just go for the extremities.
Yeah.
They're just biting the legs, biting the hands, doing everything else.
And in my mind, it's not like they're just bursting through the door, but I think they're walking up and they have a little lock pick, and I think that's what, and they just like open it up slowly.
Be like, so.
Yeah. And they do that thing like...
Remember that time you didn't give over that banana? Huh? I gave you that look. I gave you a chance. Right. I told you there'll be repercussions if I don't get fed. And now I'm coming back to collect.
Yeah, they sneak in formation. They have hand signals. I see 2 over there.
Yes, I want them to be like that. Yeah. Like, hold, like they put the monkey fist up and like, hold.
2 over that way. You decide. I'm going to go and then attack.
You go in the front door, open the window.
Okay.
We come in.
When I say ooh, ooh, ah, ah, that's when we go.
And not until I say ooh, ooh, ah, ah. I may say ooh, ah, but not until I say ooh, ooh, ah, ah. That's the code word.
We're listening for ooh, ooh, ah, ah. Say it back to me.
Say it back to me so I know you understand. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah. Yes, that's it is. In response, local police have been performing monkey patrols and traps have been placed. Can you imagine? You go...
Monkey patrol. Any monkeys in there? All right. As you were.
Do you imagine going into work that day?
Monkey patrol.
So, Bob, you're on narcotics duty. Jeff, you got the gang unit. Mm-hmm. And Wally, you're on Monkey Patrol.
Yay! I got Monkey Patrol today!
Yay! They say, unfortunately, the monkeys seem to have little interest in the trap's bait, making it unclear what their motives are in venturing into town. Although one monkey was shot with a tranquilizer gun and captured on Tuesday, attacks continued the very next day, so it appears that there are at least the 2 that have been targeting the town residents. Thankfully, all the attacks have been carried out by a single animal, and the current theory is that the monkeys aren't currently part of any larger troop.
Really? It's a serial monkey attack?
It's just one rando.
No kidding.
It's one rando monkey trying to assert dominance, being like, "I'll show you."
In the article that you read, does it say what to do if a monkey attacks?
It does not. It says, as you may have noticed, many attacks involve monkeys coming in through open doors and windows or those with just a screen partition. Japan is always hot in the summer, particularly so this year. However, many Japanese people have an aversion to running their air conditioners for extended periods of time, especially while sleeping. That attitude is especially common among older generations whose first instinct is to crack the window before turning on the AC. But the city is urging people to keep their doors and windows closed until the attacks subside.
The advice they're giving out in Japan, if you are confronted by a monkey, and this podcast is worldwide.
Yes, it is. So if you're listening over there, we appreciate you.
Anybody listening at any time could be attacked by a monkey. The advice is, do not look the monkey in the eye.
No, I know that for a fact.
Make yourself look as big as possible. Spread open your coat and then back away as quietly as possible without making any sudden moves.
Okay, don't look it in the eye. Open your coat like you're a weird flasher. Yeah. And then kind of slowly back away
and keep quiet about it.
Yes, don't want to ooh ah ah.
No,
don't. That's the key. That's the word that they're going to strike and hit you. So you don't want to be doing that.
Also in the Pacific, in the Philippines, there is a lawmaker, and I think we need to figure out what is going on with Arnulfo Tevez. Arnulfo Arnie Tevez.
Okay, go by Arnie Tevez.
As a representative in the Philippines. Hey, is the Philippines one of those countries that's kind of ours but not ours?
I don't think the Philippines
is.
Not
the Philippines?
No.
I can't keep like Guam, and I don't know what.
Guam is, I think, ours.
Kind of
Puerto
ours.
Rico is kind of ours.
Philippines. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't know if Costa Rica is. I don't think the Philippines is, though.
They've this guy has introduced a bill wanting to declare ghosting as a form of emotional abuse and criminal offense.
Boy, this guy must have had someone ghost him, it seems like. Now, ghosting is awful to do. I would agree with that, but not illegal. Because some people just don't – there's some people who don't like conflict, right?
Yeah.
And if you just try to bring up that conversation of the it's not me, it's you, and then there's all that goes into it. So they make it easier just to be a real a-hole and just ghost somebody.
In the age of social media, this is the House bill that he has introduced. In the age of social media, in today's world, the realm of dating has changed exponentially compared to previous years. Now, couples primarily communicate using their cellular phones and in turn use cellular phones as an avenue for meeting and dating. Yeah. Arnie is a time traveler from 1998. Ghosting is a form of spite that develops feelings of rejection and neglect. Ghosting has adverse effects on the mental state of the one being ghosted, and his or her emotional state is still adversely affected, as he or she will be constantly thinking of the welfare of the unexplained reasons for the one who ghosted.
Wow, there's a lot of legalese in there, a lot of words. I understand being upset by being ghosted. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but can't you play it up for sympathy, though, too? Like the son of a bitch just ghosted me.
Yeah.
You know, like in your circle of friends, like in the relationship. Anybody who ghosts someone immediately becomes a total a-hole, right? In the eyes of most people?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes...
If you get ghosted or if you ghosted somebody and just like cut off all communications... I think a lot of people will judge you as an a-hole. Like face the problem head on and be like, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore, instead of just stop talking.
Yeah, unless... I mean, I don't know. If you're on a date with Arnie and he just won't let up, you know, he just is a persistent and always calling and how are you?
True.
I'm thinking about you.
That's true. You're right. There is oversharing.
Morning, beautiful. You know, that text that you send out. And then she probably just went, you know what, Arnie, we just can't do this anymore.
What's your maximum amount of unanswered texts from someone before you cut it off and be like, nope, not gonna move any more forward with this particular individual? I think
3.
Yeah, I think you're about right. 3 to 5 if you're really patient.
Yeah.
3 if you're not. Because a friend of ours, my wife and I, she had kind of gone out with this guy, and she was at a Bears game. It was a Bears game like when a weather thing kind of flew through, and they had to evacuate the stadium for a moment. Like everyone had to go. So this guy had texted her like 6 times within like 3 hours. Like, why aren't you texting me? And she's like, yep, nope, not going to happen anymore.
I'm talking like three texts over 3 days at the very least.
Yeah, if they can. So I understand ghosting that particular individual.
The bill goes on to say, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the Philippines, this act shall be known as an act of declaring ghosting as an emotional offense act. Come on,
Arnie. Come on, Arnie. Arnie, you don't write really great bills.
But the bill does not say
what's the punishment.
What the punishment is, just that it's going to be categorized as emotional abuse if you ghost someone.
And then they call in
Arnie,
and they call in the attack monkey.
Yeah.
If you ghost somebody. Then the monkey gets its retribution.
It's like this is a bill written for one person, and it's Arnie. It's Arnie Taveas.
It's Arnie Taveas' bill.
Yeah.
And I'm not behind it. I think Arnie is a pain in the ass. There's a reason why Arnie's alone, and this isn't helping his case.
Yeah. Because he'll text you 6 times, and then the 7th text will be, I'll have you know that you are breaking the law right now, and I will have my attorney contact your attorney.
He's going to be that guy.
Until you and I go on a date.
He seems like also another guy that would sue someone about if there's not a second date and he paid for the first one.
Right.
Doesn't he? He seems like that kind of a-hole, too, to be like, I'll show you, all right.
Yeah.
Ugh, Arnie Taveas. And finally here on the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast, as a recording of this particular episode, we are on the cusp of a $1 billion Mega Millions drawing later on this evening.
Don't care, but go ahead.
I'm going to buy tickets, but I know I'm not going to win.
Buy tickets.
I know I'm not going to win. Yeah. But it brings up an interesting question from Ask Reddit that says your partner gives you $50 to gamble. You happen to win $100,000. How much do you give them?
Your partner gives you $50.
It says, hey, go have fun. Go do what you want to do. You win $100,000 jackpot. How much?
Oh.
How much do you then? How much are they owed? How much do you give them? They gave you the money.
They gave you the money. They didn't say, "Hey, buy some tickets for me." They just said,
"No, this is just." And this isn't the Mega Millions. This is just gambling in general. You could do it on sports betting. You can do it on a slot machine. You can do it on the Mega Millions. You get $50. Here you go. You go gamble. They don't say, "I need anything back." Just you go have fun with it, and you win $100,000. What do you need to give them back?
The giver should expect nothing. The winner...
Nothing for the giver.
Hang on.
Okay.
Should expect nothing. The winner, though...
Okay.
Out of decency, ought to cut you in for 20-25%.
I'm with you. Yeah. I think there needs to be a substantial amount rather than just the initial investment. Yeah. It has to be plus that. Some other people said, I'm torn. If it was me that won the money. Also, I could not have won anything without the $50 a play, so perhaps half would be agreeable.
Sure.
Yeah, if you want to go that high. I would buy myself a Wrangler Sahara and let my guy have whatever is left over, says one individual. That's a very oddly specific car that they would buy.
All I want.
It's all just a Wrangler Sahara.
Give me $100,000. I'll buy my Wrangler, and then the rest goes to charity.
Well, if it's your partner in life, there's no need to give them any. Like the old saying goes, what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. That's the meaning of a life partner. If it's one of my buddies, I definitely split it 50-50, but I'm just not a greedy person. If it's a friend, give them half. If it's your wife, she'll probably spend all of it anyway, says somebody. I think if it's a good point was made, if it's your partner, like someone you're spending the rest of your life with, you spend it together, right? I mean, I don't think they need you need to give a certain amount of it back. I think you spend it together. But if it is like somebody you work with or a coworker or a business partner and they give you $50, I think then it gets a little more kind of entangled.
I wasn't considering the fact that it's a partner in the sense of they're in a relationship, they're married, or whatever they are. So
like if it's a radio partner, like for instance, let's say you give me $10 and say, go nuts, do whatever you want to do, bet on the ponies, bet whatever. And let's say I hit the daily double or whatever, I hit a trifecta and I win $5,000, right?
Yeah.
I think I need to give you at least at least I would say a grand of that, like
Yeah.
20% off the top. Because I don't go and bet unless you give me the money.
Correct. You and I get along, though. And
That's true.
And there's that kind of thing in there. Let's pretend it was Jim Leach.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that
Jim
he's
Leach gives me $50, which he never would.
No, he would never give $50.
He wouldn't give you 50 cents.
No.
But
I say he would at least deserve a rundown copy of an old ELO album that I found for 50 cents at a garage sale. I would say,
Right.
here you go, sir. Here's
the least I could do.
It's the least I could do in that particular
So
situation.
you do have to weigh the...
the kind of, is it a friend or is it an acquaintance? And then you kind of...
Or is it Jim Leach?
And then
The rules just change immediately.
I love the fact he's not going to know anything about this because he's not going to listen to it.
Doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all.
The listeners aren't listening.
No, they don't even care. But they're going to call in and be like, hey, Jim. By the way, if you are listening, call Jim one time and just tell him that Mike and Molson wouldn't give him any money if they won $100,000. See how he reacts.
People would be listening if this was on the radio.
But
it's far too good.
It's far too good. Do you want to close it out? You introed it.
Yes.
I feel like I close it out.
And this is what it's like. This is the kind of content that is far too good to be on the radio with Mike and Molson. Subscribe, smash the like button. Be sure to use your 10% off code at our Wine of the Week club, and tell your friends to download our podcast wherever you get podcasts. Codpasts.
Codpasts.
Can we finish now?
Also, well, speaking of finishing, deflate that situation with 15% off the Mike and Molson Fleshlight. Find that at every adult toy store near you.
Oh, don't go look that up.